Happy August, also known as Salt Air Month to some of you out there on Twitter. Today's video is a celebration of one of my personal favorite Taylor Swift songs, August, from her 8th studio record and 3rd album of the year winning masterpiece, Folklore. Just on this first day of August in 2024, it rose quite a bit in streams. It is an iconic song. It's kind of like the summer equivalent of All I Want for Christmas Is You. I recently did a big deep dive on the album Folklore that you can check out. I just wanted to come back to this track and do a proper examination of it and why I think it will go down as one of her most beloved deep cuts. We'll talk about what we know about its recording process, the lore behind the song, its place in the teenage love triangle story, and how I think it interconnects to other parts of Taylor's growing discography. I think August is a culmination of a lot of threads that Taylor has weaved throughout her career, which makes it a very seminal track of hers. Recording August. To really talk about how August came to be, we need to briefly discuss Taylor Swift and Jack Antonoff's long-running friendship. Jack Antonoff cut his teeth as the frontman of an indie band Steel Train over 20 years ago, though it wasn't really until he signed on to Fun in 2008 that he started to gain real traction. Alongside Nate Ruess and Andrew Dost, Fun would break out in 2012 through We Are Young, a song that he co-wrote with the band and was co-written and co-produced by Jeff Basker, who coincidentally actually produced Red's underrated Holy Ground. At some point, Jack and Taylor would actually meet in 2012, notably at the MTV EMAs and again at the 2012 Grammy nominations concert. Fun itself would not last long after their big success due to band members all wanting to go in different directions. Jack poured his efforts into songwriting and production, eventually starting his solo project Bleachers. In 2013, Taylor Swift would unveil Sweeter Than Fiction, a soundtrack cut for the British movie One Chance. It was the first song that Swift and Off would co-produce and co-write together. Jack would actually go on to produce 3 tracks on 1989 and I Don't Want to Live Forever, a collaboration with Zayn Malik that hit the top 2. Antonoff cemented himself as Swift's go-to producer on Reputation, producing 6 tracks off the record, including its lead single, Look What You Made Me Do. He would go on to produce a majority of Lover, including its sole #1 hit, Cruel Summer. Antonoff would of course be called in to work on Swift's then top-secret surprise record Folklore. He'd produce 7 of the tracks, including August. Alongside My Tears Ricochet, he would say that these 2 songs were his favorite things that he had done with Swift. Jack Antonoff actually revealed that he produced the instrumental first before sending it to Taylor, who would write the lyrics on the spot. A songwriting method that was actually used on I Wish You Would. Compared to the rest of Folklore's more subdued stylings, August is actually the poppiest track on Folklore, even Aaron Dessner agrees. Compositionally, it has a dream pop vibe to it. There's guitars that really evoke the sounds of the late 1990s, Antonoff's signature vocal reverb effects, and Taylor's go-to key change technique towards the end really makes the song. Though at the end of the song, there's a full sweeping orchestra that elevates the track, adding a melodramatic and tragic feel to the song. Now I'm just going to talk about the lore of August. As we all know, August is the 2nd song in the teenage love triangle story from Folklore. I discussed that quite a bit in my Folklore deep dive, which is also out if you want a more in-depth look at that record. This story again follows a messy summer that sees Betty and James break up because James cheats on her with Augustine. Augustine's the point of view in this song, the narrator of a summer love that's just not meant to be. What I really like about August is that Swift gives Augustine depth and clarity. She's not portrayed to be some vengeful or sinister young woman that's out to steal men. No, she's this girl who has deep feelings for James, who is truly living for the hope of it all, that one August in her life that just sipped away like a bottle of wine. Augustine is portrayed as someone who's just as innocent and curious and lively as Betty, but in a different sort of shade. This is just headcanoning, but James had to have seen something in her that reminded him of Betty to even like her, and that in itself, I believe, doomed their relationship. The lyrics of August imply that Augustine is someone who's very observant. She relishes in recalling details. The song opens with salt air and the rust on your door. She really likes to paint a scene, unlike Betty, who seems to be a little bit more abstract in the way that she speaks, as based on what we heard of her in Cardigan. Augustine seems to be grounded in the here and now. She recalls James back beneath the sun wishing that she could write her name on it. She remembers being twisted in bed sheets. One thing that I really noticed about her reading the lyrics is that she really recalls what she and James had said to each other. Whispers of "Are you sure? Never have I ever before" not only alludes to the fact that they were probably each other's first times, but also speaks to how well she remembers everything, perhaps all too well. Sorry, I just had to make that joke. Even in the bridge, she remembers canceling plans in case he'd call just to say, "Meet me behind the mall." And at the end, she asks if he remembers her pulling up and saying, "Get in the car," something that James would recall himself in his own song, Betty, but with an air of regret. Augustine's tragedy has many layers. For one, James didn't seem to like her all that much, having dated her, probably because he was jealous of some guy that he saw Betty dancing with at a party. I mean, he even refers to her as just a summer thing in his own song. For another, Augustine's word choice speaks to her understanding that she and James were merely a present doomed to become a past. Contrast that with the confidence in Betty's words in Cardigan. "I knew you'd miss me once the thrill expired" speaks to Betty's understanding and confidence in herself and James. She knew that Augustine would come and go. Yet here, Augustine still remains, immortalizing the joy and sorrow of a summer romance that'll be lost to time and memory. August has slipped away into a moment in time because it never was hers. In her eyes, it was never stolen, it was just borrowed. I've come to really love the orchestral closing on this track because it does give that dreamlike quality as the song fades out, though a friend of mine and I were actually driving to the song while we were hanging out at the beach, and they pointed out that it felt more like a funeral march than anything. One last hurrah before the ocean wipes away the writing on the sand. And I think that's what really makes the song so powerful. It really does capture the summer vibes, not just the romance that faded away, but the season coming to a close. Like, the summer may come back the following year, but it's never the same as the one before. And the way that Taylor really empathizes with the other woman here, much in a way that underscores her maturity as a songwriter and a human being, I just really adore that. Which brings me to its connections to her other works, which is why I wanted to make this video in the first place. August really interconnects to the rest of her discography, particularly Speak Now, which I've always called a proto-folklore in some regards on this channel. Because so much of Taylor's earlier catalog was about coming of age, this song really does feel like a refined echo. On her debut, one of her earliest hits, Teardrops on My Guitar, spoke to an unrequited love, but from the perspective of someone who never got the chance to experience what could have been. On the Fearless Vault tracks, there's one track that I immediately clocked as being a sonic twin to August, That's One with Keith Urban. This one was also produced by Antonoff, so ironically, this song is much happier as it covers a couple that takes a break and comes back together. But really, it's Speak Now who has two tracks that I think August feels like a perfect bookend to. The first track being Better Than Revenge. Hear me out, guys. In a meta way, it's such a leap for Taylor to have grown so much to extend grace to someone like Augustine when she put out an absolute banger of a diss track. Going from she's better known for the things that she does on the mattress to sympathizing with the other woman, and the fact that they were released 10 years apart, it's really a testament to her growth. To be able to harness that anger, but then also see what it means to the person on the other side, I feel like that's everything to me. Foolish One, a vault track cut from the original record, 100% is an ancestor to August. It has that same youthful tone and an extremely similar narrative, but it's told from an even more self-deprecating tone. That song, too, follows a young heroine that is caught in a situationship that she has a nagging feeling won't come to be. However, in Foolish One, we actively see her bargaining with fate for a chance before realizing she might get longing glances, but she'll never get the ring. Augustine would have definitely had this one on repeat. Even Red has one underrated deep cut I feel really echoes August's themes. Holy Ground, one of my personal all-time favorite Taylor tracks too. It's this stunning track that also recalls a brief but passionate love affair in a positive light. She remembers how happy she was and how it was the first time she had something to lose, and though it didn't last, she still remembers where they stood as holy ground. Much like August memorializes this relationship that just was one summer in her life. But I Don't Want to Dance If I'm Not Dancing With You really reminds me of how she repeats at the end of August when we were living for the hope of it all, meet me behind the mall. I'd go off on a tangent of how style interconnects, but even I know that's a little bit of a stretch, though Reputation's Getaway Car definitely also shares some DNA. For Getaway Car in particular, I find it funny because rather than being someone who got in the getaway car and got away with it, that would be James in August's situation. August is about being on the other side of that getaway getaway car. Augustine is the one that is left holding the bag and being left behind, and of course I cannot not mention Cruel Summer. For a time, I actually joked that August was what would happen if you threw Cruel Summer in a sepia filter. Cruel Summer quite literally covers a tumultuous summer romance filled with uncertainty and doubt and heavy emotions, but where Cruel Summer's bridge alludes towards a happy resolution through he looks up grinning like a devil, August shows what happens when that's not quite the case. When a cruel summer becomes a floating distant memory whose harshest cruelty is not lasting much longer than it did. Call me a stretcher, call me someone who's like exaggerating similarities and connections and stuff like that, but I can't help but feel like these songs actually do make August much stronger and vice versa. I will make it no secret that August will always be one of my personal favorite Taylor tracks between its charming story and the way that it enhances and contextualizes what came before it and what I hope comes after it. It stands as one of Swift and Antonoff's best works to date. So yeah, happy August, Augustine and everybody. This track's a 10 out of 10 in its own books, and may all of you have a magical salt air month, living for the hope of it all. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in to this very short analysis of a single track. I love doing these. I plan to do these for more Taylor tracks and maybe other pop songs that I really adore. Let me know in the comments which tracks you think I'm going to be doing a video about this, or which tracks you'd like me to dissect. And also let me know why you think August is one of your favorite Taylor Swift tracks, or if you hate it, let me know in the comments. I really want to know. A quick shout out to my members. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. A shout out to my subscribers. You guys continuously feed me great ideas. I think we crossed a milestone or something. I don't know. I don't really care about the numbers. I just care about making fun videos for you guys. And I hope to see you next video.